My wife is an actress. I still remember the exact moment when my world collapsed. It wasn't when I found out. No, it was 3 days later, when I realized I'd spent 72 hours straight staring at our wedding photo on the nightstand, wondering if anything in our marriage had ever been real. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You know that feeling when something is off? Not wrong enough to name, but just there. Like a splinter under your skin you can't quite reach. That was my marriage for the past year. Little inconsistencies piling up like dust in corners you don't notice until suddenly you can't see the baseboards anymore. I should have seen it sooner. God, I should have known. Sarah and I met 6 years ago at my cousin's wedding. She wasn't even supposed to be there, last minute +1 of a bridesmaid. But there she was, in that blue dress that matched her eyes exactly, laughing at something I said that wasn't even funny. We were married 11 months later. Too fast, my mother said. When you know, I told her. Turns out I didn't know shit. The modeling job started about 2 years ago. Just some extra money, she said. Nothing major, just catalog stuff, local brands. She'd come home with stories about difficult photographers and competitive models. Sometimes with decent checks that helped with the mortgage. I was proud of her, pursuing something she loved while still working her regular office job, supporting her dreams and all that husband of the year crap. The overnight trips began 6 months ago. They're paying for hotels, babe. The shoots are in Chicago, sometimes New York. Better gigs, better pay. She'd pack her bags, always her special matching luggage set I got her for our anniversary, and come back tired but happy. Sometimes with expensive gifts for me. A watch I couldn't afford on my teacher's salary. Cufflinks I had no occasion to wear. I never questioned it. Not once. What kind of fool doesn't question unexpected money? It was Bradley who ruined everything. Bradley with his goddamn bachelor party and his goddamn phone. Bradley, who I've known since 3rd grade, who stood next to me at my wedding, who called me at 2:47 a.m., drunk and confused. Dude, I think I just saw Sarah on this site we're, looking at. My stomach dropped before my brain even processed his words. What are you talking about? I remember how steady my voice was, how calm, like we were discussing the weather or last night's game. There's this site with videos. She looks exactly like your wife, man. Like, exactly. Same birthmark on her shoulder and everything. I didn't even know she modeled. Like that. I hung up without saying goodbye. My hands weren't shaking yet. That came later. I sat in our home office, in the dark, the blue light of the computer screen illuminating the wedding photos on the wall. 3 clicks and $29.99 later, I was staring at my wife. My Sarah. Except she wasn't Sarah there. She was Crystal Sky, 28, loves adventure and trying new things. The videos dated back 18 months. I watched one, then another, then all of them. My wife wasn't just an actress. She was a porn actress. Amateur stuff, but professional enough. Well lit. Multiple camera angles. Sound editing. And she was enthusiastic. More than she'd been with me in years. The timestamps matched her photo shoots perfectly. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. I just sat there until sunrise, feeling something crystallize inside me. Something cold and sharp and unfamiliar. When she came downstairs that morning, sleep-rumpled, wearing my t-shirt like she always did, I looked at her and realized I was living with a stranger. "Good morning," she said, stretching. "Morning," I replied, pouring her coffee exactly how she liked it. And we went about our day like nothing had changed, but everything had. For 3 days, I lived in this new reality. I went to work, taught my high school English classes, came home, ate dinner she cooked, watched TV beside her, slept next to her, all while this knowledge sat inside me like nuclear waste, burning through everything it touched. I started noticing things I'd been blind to before, how she always kept her phone face down, how she had a separate email account for her modeling contacts, how some months she made more than others, and those always coincided with her overnight trips. She'd built an entire secret life, and I'd been too trusting, too stupid to see it. On the 4th day, I called in sick to work. I waited until she left for her office job, the real one, and then I started digging. Her laptop password was my birthday. The irony wasn't lost on me. It took less than an hour to find everything. The emails arranging shoots, the payment records, the stage name registration, the contracts. But it was the private messages that destroyed whatever was left of my heart. Laughing about her clueless husband, joking about how easy it was to hide everything from me, planning shoots around our anniversary trip. And then I found the videos she hadn't published yet, the raw footage waiting to be edited. 5 new scenes, all shot during what she'd told me was a girls' weekend at her sister's place. Her sister who called me that same weekend, asking if Sarah was feeling better from her flu. I stopped searching after that. I didn't need more evidence. I already had enough radiation poisoning from the truth to last several lifetimes. Have you ever been so angry that you feel calm, like you've transcended rage and landed somewhere beyond it? That's where I lived for the next week. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I watched her lie to my face every day with perfect confidence. I listened to her stories about difficult clients at her marketing job. I nodded sympathetically when she complained about her boss. I kissed her goodbye when she left for another photo shoot weekend. That weekend, I made my decision. It wasn't about the sex. I need you to understand that. If she'd come to me, if she'd said she wanted to explore this part of herself, we could have talked about it. Maybe not agreed. Maybe it would have ended us anyway. But at least there would have been honesty, respect. This wasn't about her body. It was about her betrayal. So, I got to work. First, I gathered everything. Every video link, every message, every contract, every piece of evidence that my wife, the woman who vowed to share her life with me, had been living a double life for almost 2 years. Then I created a simple, private website. Nothing fancy, just a landing page with links and screenshots and a brief explanation. No commentary needed. The material spoke for itself. And then I made a list. Her parents, her sister, her brother, our mutual friends, her boss at her marketing job, the cousins she always wanted to impress, my family who had embraced her as their own. I didn't do it out of revenge. Or at least, not only revenge. I did it because all these people deserved to know who they were really dealing with. The same way I deserved to know. On a Tuesday morning, after she left for work, I sent out 27 emails with a single link. Then I packed my bags, withdrew half our savings, only my fair share, left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter, and checked into a hotel. The texts started coming within the hour. From her mother. What is this? Is this some kind of sick joke? From her sister. OMG, what did you do? Sarah's hysterical. From my best friend. Holy shit, man, call me. I turned off my phone after that. I didn't need to witness the explosion. I just needed to know I'd lit the fuse. 3 days later, I met her at a coffee shop. Her choice. Public place. Witnesses. Smart. She looked terrible. Red eyes, unwashed hair, wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Must have been staying somewhere else. How could you do this to me? Were her first words. Not, I'm sorry, or let me explain. Just straight to making herself the victim. I stirred my coffee with mechanical precision. Do what? Tell the truth? You destroyed my life." She wasn't crying. She was furious. "My parents won't speak to me. I've lost my job. Everyone knows." "Everyone should know," I said, feeling that strange calm again. "You weren't just betraying me. You were lying to everyone." "It was just a job," she hissed. "A good-paying job when we needed money." "We didn't need money," I said. "We were doing fine, and it wasn't the job. It was the lies. 2 years of lies, Sarah. Or should I call you Crystal?" She flinched at the name. "You could have talked to me," I continued. "You could have been honest. I would have been hurt, maybe even left you, but I wouldn't have been erased. You erased me from your decisions about our life together." "It wasn't about you," she said, quieter now. "That's exactly the problem." We sat in silence for a long moment. Around us, people laughed and chatted and lived their normal lives, unaware of the funeral for a marriage happening at our table. "I did love you," she finally said. "That wasn't a lie." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time since sitting down. Behind the puffy eyes and messy hair was the woman I'd fallen for, the woman I'd built dreams around. But now I could also see what I'd missed before: the calculation, the compartmentalization, the capability for deception. "Maybe," I said, "but you didn't respect me, and without respect, love is just manipulation." I stood up and dropped a folder on the table between us. Divorce papers, already signed on my end. "I don't hate you, Sarah, but I don't know you either. I'm not sure I ever did." She didn't try to stop me as I walked out. That was 6 months ago. The divorce was finalized last week. Clean break, no alimony either way. She didn't fight it. I heard she moved to California, started over. I stayed, faced the whispers and sympathetic looks that eventually faded as new gossip took center stage. I've had a lot of time to think about what happened, about trust and betrayal, and the stories we tell ourselves about the people we love, about whether I did the right thing with those 27 emails. Some nights, I still wake up reaching for her side of the bed. Some mornings, I still make coffee for 2 before catching myself. Muscle memory is a hell of a thing. But I don't regret exposing the truth. I couldn't live in a fiction, no matter how comfortable. What I regret is not seeing it sooner, not asking the right questions, not trusting my instincts when things felt off. Maybe that's the lesson here. Pay attention to the splinters under your skin. They're trying to tell you something. As for me, I'm teaching summer school now, dating again, slowly, learning to trust myself first, then maybe someday, someone else. And sometimes, when I see a certain shade of blue, the exact color of the dress she wore when we met, I still feel a pang of something. Not quite grief, not quite anger, just recognition of what was lost, what never really existed. Because in the end, my wife wasn't just an actress in those videos. She was an actress in our life,